Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is a bit of an update in terms of what's coming up on my channel and some of the reasons why content is probably going to slow down a little bit over the next few months. But basically I haven't filmed anything from a video vlogging perspective or really developed any kind of film in about 6 months now, because we picked up a new addition to the family, a puppy, in October last year. So all my time and effort has basically gone into settling in the puppy and helping her to grow into a nice rounded dog, which is coming on nicely. So I feel like I've got a little bit more time now that I can go back to making these kinds of videos. So as you can see from this B-roll now, you can probably tell that I'm starting to outgrow this office of mine, certainly because I've picked up quite a lot of photography gear over the last 6 months. So I certainly got a lot of content coming up on this channel. I think last year I picked up this lens here, which is the Fujifilm 50-230 XC lens. So it's one of their basic lenses for telephoto. And to be honest, even though it's nice to have a telephoto range lens in your gear, I was finding I wasn't really using it that much because I've got obviously the 35mm f1.4 lens for my Fuji cameras. But since getting a dog, this lens has been invaluable in capturing those kind of running dog shots that people like to do, especially when they have a puppy. So I've certainly perfected that technique over the last 6 months. So when I come to do a video on this lens, I will certainly have a lot of sample images that I will include in that particular video. The next video that I'm currently still working on is, if you recall, I sent off one of my medium format folding cameras off to be serviced, and I received that back quite some time ago now, back in January, all cleaned and all the shutter speeds working a lot more effectively. So I've been out and about with this camera, but I'm only on about exposure, God, it's so hard to see, 7. So I've only taken 6 exposures so far in about 4 months with this camera. Yeah, so when I finish with that roll, I'll develop it and then I'll be in a position to finish the video on this little excursion with this camera. Next, I picked up this camera again, probably tail end of last year, and I've been out shooting with it. It's quite an old camera. It was released in about 2000, Fujifilm 4700 zoom, and there's a bit of a delay and a bit of a story as to why it's taken me so long to do a video on this camera. I've done a lot of the filming and a lot of the editing already, but basically I had a problem with the storage of this camera. You see, it uses these old things here, which are smart media cards, and this one's a 16 meg card I've got here at the moment. My first smart media card that I tried, after a few goes, it just kind of broke. And I've got it here actually. So this is my original card that I used for this camera, and as you can probably see in this image, it's kind of snapped in half. And I think the problem is I had to get a special card reader, one that took smart media cards, and I accidentally put it in the wrong way once, and I was trying to probably push harder than I should have, and it just kind of like snapped in half. And actually this one is branded Fujifilm, so maybe it should have done a better job, but then these are obsolete now, and you can kind of tell from my experiences why they probably didn't take off in the same way that SD cards take off. Like, I don't think I've ever snapped or broke an SD card, whereas these obviously seem very flimsy in comparison. So obviously that one was 32 meg. The one I've got in there now is 16 meg, which allows me to take 9 images at a time. So when I feel like I've amassed enough images, I'll be able to finish the editing of that particular camera. I'm also getting another early digital camera, the Kodak DX3700, which was actually my first digital camera that I got, and it was actually under the old Kodak mega bargain of the century misprice, where they were selling £330 cameras off accidentally for £100, and I was one of the lucky few originally that was able to purchase that camera. And looking at my Lightroom catalogue, I did actually take quite a lot of nice images using this camera back in the day, even though it did eat through batteries at quite an alarming rate. And again, it only had about a 3 meg sensor, but the sensor in that camera is actually a CCD sensor camera. So I'm looking forward to acquiring one of those again from a friend who's going to gift it to me, because for some reason I think I must have just charitied mine when before I was started to get interested in cameras, and again before I actually picked up on the fact that CCD sensor cameras in particular can give some really nice colours. And following on from that particular purchase, I actually went out and bought myself a Nikon D200. So here it is here. So this is the latest camera that I've bought to give a whirl. So again, I bought it off eBay. I can't believe you can pick these cameras up for 60 quid. So it's a 10 meg CCD sensor camera. And then I did a bit of research of what's a good lens to use from the start, and this is the 18-55 kit lens, but it's the VR2 model, so it seemed to be one of the better kind of cheap lenses for this particular camera. So I'm currently taking that out and about and shooting some images to build up a body of work that I can use to demonstrate whether I like this camera and comparing it to the Canon 5D, etc. Moving forward. You heard me mention then that I'm interested in comparing it to the Canon 5D, and that's correct. I did actually go out and buy myself a second Canon 5D last year as well. So that is obviously something, again, I'm using quite a bit at the moment, because unlike the previous video I did here, this version or this copy of the camera seems to me to be working a lot more better, and I'm really kind of liking the experience and the images that I'm able to capture at the moment. So again, I did some research and I bought a decent kit lens, the 28-105 lens, which does seem to produce some really, really good images. And as well as that, I wanted to get a prime lens as well. So rather than the 50mm f1.8, I did a bit of research and I actually bought the 50mm f2.5 macro lens for this camera, just to give me something a little bit different in my images. So I need to do a bit more photography with the camera and the lenses, again, to build up some images that I can use to help explain my thoughts and opinions on the camera second time around. Yeah, so as I also enjoyed using my Olympus EM1 Mark 1, I decided to upgrade it to the EM1 Mark II, predominantly because it has better sensor points for using my old 4/3 lenses, and certainly when I'm trying to capture action in terms of my dog running towards me, etc. I wanted to get a camera, again, an Olympus camera, which would afford me a better chance of getting those results that I wanted. And it's still a little bit of work in progress. I do find the Fuji camera, certainly the X-H1 and its lenses, to be a little bit more consistent and easier in terms of capturing the motion, but I'm still not giving up on this lens yet. So as with other YouTubers at the moment, Adobe has just added the ability to use AI noise reduction in its tool, and it's come at an interesting time for me because I was trialing DxO's PureRAW 3 to see whether that would give me the noise reduction tool that I felt that I was missing. So yeah, so it was interesting that Adobe then updated their Lightroom to include that functionality. So I'm going to try and compare it to see whether it works for the kind of shots that I capture. And that brings me on to another video that I'm currently exploring at the moment, is the reasons why I finally opted to go for a subscription-based software. So I've upgraded my old Lightroom version 6 to Lightroom Classic. Talking more about software as well, as you probably know, I bought the Fujifilm X-H1 last year, so I'm still doing I'm still interested in comparing the output of the X-Trans 3 sensor with that of the X-Trans 1 on the XE1. So yeah, so that's another video that I'm still currently working on. I've certainly got enough comparison images. It's just a case of working out the conclusions of that video and what I'm going to say. So that's in the train of videos coming up as well. So I'm probably talking about like capturing action in terms of my puppy. I probably will also have enough content and certainly enough images of that to share my experiences and how I've refined my technique over these last 6 months. And again, what cameras, what gear, what setups I found actually works best for me in terms of capturing that genre of photography. As a sideline to the Seagull after its service, I've also stuck in some Kentmere's new ISO 400 film for medium format cameras. So I'll be interested in comparing the results of that with HP 5+, etc., which is what I tend to use when I'm shooting medium format film cameras these days. Yes, I think that's probably enough to keep me busy for another 12 months or so. I can obviously do some more experiences using my infrared Panasonic GX1 camera, also my Ricoh GRD that is a great kind of street photography camera. I'll probably do another update with that. But film's probably going to take a bit of a backseat this year, just because I find with juggling a puppy out and about, and film takes probably a little bit more dexterity than I currently have. So I'll get the Seagull 203 film done and dusted, and then obviously think about what film camera I want to try next. Obviously my film stocks are getting a bit more expired as time goes on, and I do still want to try colour film photography, but I don't think that's going to be this year at least. So obviously last year as well, I did a few videos looking at Olympus and looking at Fuji. I'm still undecided of what system I prefer. I do like the simplicity of the Olympus, certainly with the M1 Mark II, the ability to have these custom settings. Like I went out on a rare photo shoot opportunity last week, and I knew I was going to be on a tripod doing photography, and I know I needed a weather sealed camera as well on that particular day. So the Olympus was the easy choice because it's a fully weather sealed system and the lens is fully weather sealed as well. And then I could just literally select the custom mode that I've set up for using it on the tripod. So that worked really well. I would have liked to take the Fuji X-H1 as well, and also to try and build up some more comparison images between the two systems, but I haven't yet got a waterproof lens for this system, and I think I'm just going to use what I've got at the moment, so no more gear, to decide what camera systems I like shooting with and what other gear, if anything, I need in the future. Because I'm very keen, even though I only touched on it briefly, that I've bought another Canon 5D. So I'm actually really enjoying using it, and I'm really considering buying some better glass for the Canon 5D to really release the potential that this camera is capable of. Although the thing that does hold me back with this is, of course, the weight. Yeah, it's quite a heavy bit of kit, especially when you're used to me like mirrorless cameras these days. Yeah, so I think that wraps up this update. And just to end, I'll just put up some of my favourite images that I've captured since the last video I did, which went up a few weeks ago now, which was talking about my experiences with my film Pen F camera. So as always, thanks for watching. Bye for now.